What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Panthers Advice. Today, man, we're talking about Legette. All right, we've talked about Legette a lot on this channel, him and Bryce Young. But with Legette, it's all right. Legette has potential, Then it's but he does this, but then he gives you this, and you're like, he does this again, and it's like, but he has potential, but he still does this, right? And so, last week, arguably, maybe his best NFL game. And you're like, has he turned the corner, right? Is Legette finally here? Do the Panthers have a true number 2 receiver or a true slot guy? That's what we're going to find out in the film. But before we can dive in to last week's film, we have to dive into last year's film. And the reason for that is I think sometimes you have to appreciate, or in XL's case, acknowledge the journey to see where he's came from. Has he fixed those mistakes, right? Or was this week nothing like his mistakes from last year? So in that case, has he improved at all? So that's what we're going to look at first. We're going to go back, look at last year, look at those drops, all right, and then look at this week's or last week's game and kind of measure the two. So without further ado, man, let's get into it. Jump into last year real quick. So we're going to start right here. All right, Andy Dalton at quarterback. XL, he's open. That was a rough drop. And it's one of those, I'm going to start running, take my eyes off the ball, and then he drops it right there. That one, that was rough. I think this was week 4 against the Bengals too. Week 4, week 5. Low throw right there by Dalton. I'm not going to fault him too much right there. Broncos right here. All right, Bryce Young back at quarterback. And this one, you can kind of go wishy-washy, right? But you could see that safety is coming towards him right there. And you kind of want XL to make that play right there. And then right here against the Giants, all right, you see Bryce Young hits XL right there. And once again, defender's coming, and he drops it. So you're kind of seeing what the MO was. Tight in space, defender coming down towards him. Didn't do a good job of bringing it in. And then right here against the Eagles, you're going to see the same thing, right? He's waiting for that defender to hit him, right? Take a look right here. He's going to catch it. He's tucking that thing because he knows he's going to get hit. And he still drops it. So you see where the weakness was, all right? And then the next one right here was that deep ball, which, man, I still think this is a catch until you zoom in closer and you realize is that the ball did hit the ground. That was rough. And then the Saints right here. This one just is rough too because the Saints DB basically just rips it out. He rips it out of XL's hands. And right here's a Chiefs player. All right, one-on-one. XL's got it, and then gets swatted away. So as you can see, based on last year, the biggest problems were basically not bringing the ball in, right? Or being afraid he was going to get hit. Once again, still kind of accumulates a little bit to not bringing it in, but you see where his problems were. Catching wasn't a huge issue unless a defender was near. If a defender was near, it was a little bit of an issue, all right? That's what the drops say, right? That's what the film says. Now let's go to this week real quick. So the first play we're going to look at right here, all right, you got XL in that stack formation over there on the right side. My guess is right here is this is an option route, all right, on 1st and 10 right here, because the way he runs this route, he's looking at that DB, bang, 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 all right, stops on a dime, turns around, bang, he's going to catch it. So just off the first catch alone, it looks like he's kind of improving, right? But you see him bang, 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 all right, stop on a dime. And the next play we have to look at right here is his timing with Bryce Young. I'm a little bit confused, okay, because it goes back to the, was it the Jags or Patriots game, if I'm not mistaken, all right, where Bryce Young sails it in the end zone because him and XL were on the same page, right? It was like 4th and 1. He wanted XL in the flat. XL just never turned his head around, right? And then Bryce Young sailed it. And so that logic kind of applies right here because you're going to take a look right here, top of the route, bang. All right. You see Bryce Young is looking in his direction. Now, single high safety look, right? So middle field closed, all right? So outsides really are open. XL's waiting for it. So if XL's not getting it, I'm thinking, okay, it's going to Coker right here on the corner route, right? But as you let the play develop, when Bryce Young releases this ball, it looks like it's for XL. Now, maybe it was for Coker, right? But once again, I go back to the timing with Bryce Young and Legette right here. It looks like Legette's expecting an out route. It looks like Bryce Young is expecting an out and up. Now, obviously, if defenses do this, right, there's different things you do to adjust, right? between the receiver and quarterback. But again, I go back to in the red zone, man, they're just not on the same page yet, right? Unless it was going for Coker, but that looks rough. Let's take a look at play number 3 right here. We're going to see a little motion right there from Tremble. You got XL and the drag underneath. And really, this is where the Panthers want to use him. Use him on the drag, right? Get the linebackers to buy it up. All right, and then bang, send XL underneath. And honestly, if Bryce doesn't have that defender in his face right here, he probably hits Mitchell. But you're going to see defender in his face, bang. Just dump that thing off to XL. Nice throw right there by Bryce. But this is what the Panthers want, right? Because now linebackers not only have to come up to stop the run, they have to stop XL as well, on that drag route. And that's when you sneak, Mitchell Evans, bang deep. Otherwise, you can have a wheel route right here on the outside as well. If the Panthers can get the run game going consistently and get XL going across the middle consistently, it's going to open up a lot of things for other guys, right? This is exactly what you want because Mitchell Evans had big potential right here, right? If that defender is not right there, let's say this defender right here goes up, Bryce Young does a nice pump fake, right? Gets him to bite. Mitchell Evans may or may not be gone. I don't know how fast he is, all right? 40 yards is still quite a bit, all right? But he's going to get some big yards. So, all right, you see XL, the option route to drag underneath. All right, so far so good. Let's keep it going. We're going to go empty right here. What do we get into? Oh, this is the screen. All right, another one where it's like, hey, you're going to take the risk of getting hit because, the blocking hasn't been tremendously great for screens and hasn't been really for the last 3 years. But right here, 3rd and 20, I do and I don't love this play call. I know Dave was trying to play conservative, right? Trying to play it smart, right, on a screen. You can either get 1 yard, so you could get 40 yards, so you could get a touchdown, right? Here, the play call's not bad, but the blocking, man, it's just it's just never there. It's just never there. Like right here, we're just going to double team that to one defensive back. Now, I don't know what the assignments are for sure, but it's hard for me to think that the rule is both receivers get this defensive back ahead of XL. I imagine one of them is supposed to, but I can't imagine. All right, they're both supposed to do that. They're both supposed to do that because now he's just going to walk right in, right? Let the play develop. Now he's got to go to the outside, and who's on the outside? The other guy that doesn't get picked up. So the play, I called Dave playing conservative. The play had potential, If these two guys get picked up, XL has to make one guy miss. I think that's a possibility. But as you can see, that doesn't happen. Oh, man. The play actually had potential. All right, I take it back, Dave. The play had potential, but once again, the blocking on the screens, which I've discussed week in and week out, it's not there. All right, let's keep it going, though. Keep it going. 1st and 3 right here. Bryce under center, navigating his way through the pocket. And who's he find? Mr. XL right there. And what I like right here is exactly what we talked about earlier, right? Those close, confined catches. Can you hold on to them? Can you make that play knowing you might get popped, all right, in the end zone? All right, and XL does that extremely well right there. Let's actually run it back real quick. Let's take a look at XL. So as we run this thing back real quick and take a look at XL right here. Let's watch him from start to finish. So, all right, looks like a little crosser right there potentially. Defender's going to play that over the top, you're going to see. Safety's going to pick him up right there. Looks like match coverage right here. All right, so Bryce Young was kind of hoping for that. Or Mitchell Evans decides to scramble back to his left and then throws back to his right. I mean, watch Legette right here, too. Once he realizes that, okay, Bryce is going to scramble left, let me work my way back right. Pretty good. Pretty good. I talked about their timing before, but right there, man, that's exactly what you want to see. That's that improv, though. That's that improv. All right? Hey, he's doing this, so I'm going to try this. And bada bing, bada boom. All right, let's keep this thing going, though. We got a few more places to look at. Oh, yeah. End zone angle one more time. Woo! Good stuff right there. So it's 3rd and 5 right here. Now this one, I don't remember if they called it complete or not, to be honest with you. When I looked at the replay, right, when it happened in the game, I was like, I think that was a catch, but I wasn't sure. but they called a flag on it nonetheless. All right, so right there was one of those close confined ones. And right here, it's 3rd and 4. Andy Dalton comes in because Bryce Young is hurt. And who's he hit? Mr. Legette. All right, looks like man coverage right there. Let's run that back real quick. All right, man coverage. Single high safety look. Bang. Oh, man, that DB cannot give XL that much space. Woo, you can't do that. And Andy Dalton still puts it behind him because he's like, wait, XL has that much space? Look at this. Right, that ball is behind him. And XL still holds on to that thing. Let's keep it going. We have like 3 more plays to look at. Right here, it's 3rd and 7. Once again, all right. Once again right here, he's going to get hit. Bang. All right, but still holds on to it right there. All right, good catch. And then right here, it's 2nd and 17. I think another little dump off. Ooh, nice move on the linebacker. Run that back real quick. Nice move on the linebacker right here. Take a look. Linebacker's going to mug. All right, he's going to drop back and play the hook right here. Let's take a look what happens. Jets going to a cover 2. Look at XL right there, man. Put the moves on the backer. Woo! That looked good right there. All right, so 2nd and 17 to a potential 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 type thing. And then right here, it's 3rd and 2. Play action. Pressure off the edge. Andy Dalton has to throw it away. All right, nothing there. And then our last play right here, XL, man. Look at this. Woo, woo. Andy Dalton hung that thing up there too. All right, so has XL improved? Let's talk about it real quick before we call it a wrap on the video. As far as improved, I think it's safe to say yes, he's improved. I think he's taken care of some of the mistakes he had last year, right? There was a lot of plays in this Jets game where he got popped right after he caught it, and he looked to hold on to it, right? So the timing is still off with him and Bryce Young for certain plays. The improv is good, but the timing has to get fixed to me. But as far as improving from last year in those drops, I mean, based off the film against the Jets, I think the Jets have a good defense. I think their offense is just terrible, right? But based off the film against the Jets defense, I think he's improved. Let me know your thoughts below. All right, more content coming this week. Stay tuned. Panthers Vice is out. Peace.